my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? I got so soft. Let's try it again. Oh, isn't my usual exuberant self? Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on Rustic Farmhouse Valentine Crafts. This is video part 2. If you missed part 1, I'll have the link down in the description box for you. But for now, let's get started on our first project. Today I'll be using this from Hobby Lobby. It was a 90% off sign. I'm going to also use some of these eye hooks from Hobby Lobby and these wood planks from Dollar Tree. Now what I did is just kind of cut them like 2 of them, 3/4 and 1/4. So I have 4 pieces total. I'll be using a couple of these hearts from Dollar Tree. And I went ahead and used my wood laser machine and cut out my numbers and letters, a big 14. And then FEB for February, of course. And you can buy any, wood letters and numbers in either size you want ready to go in most craft stores. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of take off that, wording that was on the front of this sign because, I could see some of it. And then I'm just going to kind of give it a fresh coat of black chalk paint. Debbie's Design Diary DIY little black dress. And then this is a little bit different. I'm going to kind of paint, you can see just really lightly across the 2 shorter boards, around the sides, and then of course the front, not the back because I'm going to glue that on. I'm going to paint the number really well, 2 coats with the black paint. I'm not going to do anything to those but sand them a little bit later off camera. So I want those fully black, but the 2 little boards I just kind of want slightly black. All right. Then moving on with our painting, the 2 bigger boards, I'm using Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color drop cloth. Again, just kind of slightly painted. I'll continue with the drop cloth on those February letters. I'll do those off camera, but here I am kind of painting the hearts, actually 2 hearts because I'm going to glue 2 together. And now we're going to come back to our 4 boards. I'm going to use Waverly Antique Wax. And as you can see on the black boards, I'm just kind of brushing over the paint. And you'll normally know that I do the Waverly Antique Wax underneath and then the paint on top. This is just a way to get that Waverly Antique Wax to kind of shine through the center of your painting versus just around the edges. And it shows up better on these bigger boards because of the lighter paint that we're using, that we put on first. And then I'm going to just do a little spray and then I'm going to wipe off that excess just like I did on the blackboards. And then you can really see kind of that, Waverly Antique Wax really kind of shine through around the edges and through the center, and I think it's a cool technique. I do like it better with lighter paint versus the black ones, but I did the same process on both so they would kind of match. And then once I set the lighter boards on that black sign, they really do pop. Now the black boards, when I distress, see how they pop? There's a really cool. The blackboards I distress around them too, but they just weren't popping up off of that sign enough. So I do go back in through and paint a little more black in the center. It probably was just a waste of my time to try the antique wax that way, but you live and you learn. All right, so now I've got a scrapbook paper. I traced my heart, cut it a little bit smaller, and then I sewed around the edges, and then of course take the end of my scissor blades and scrape around those edges and distress that. And now I'm gluing it onto the heart, and then I'm coming in with some watered down black paint and watered down drop cloth paint and cream. So I've got the black splatters splattering on the cream color and then the drop cloth paint splattering on the black color, just a little bit here and there. And then I am splattering the board a little bit. That way all of these will just kind of combine and look cohesive together. And then my handles were like, they're too white. So I'm just coming in with that drop cloth paint, just 1 coat along the top and just toning them down a little bit so that it matches the colors I was using on everything else. And I think that just looks a little bit better, in my opinion. All right, now I'm taking my crocodile and I'm punching holes in the tops of all 4 of my little sign boards here. I'll put this one together and mark it, and I'll do the same with the other ones off camera, but you'll just see me punch the holes because now you know what I'm doing, right? Perfect. And then we're finally going to bring out those little eye hooks from Hobby Lobby. Only going to use 4. And what I'm doing is just taking some tools, some pliers, and I'm spreading open the little circle here. Okay, what we're going to do is make this sign look like one of those flip calendars. but they're not going to flip. Okay, so we have to put all the pieces in it. Now I have some extra little wood pieces here. You could use cardboard too, but I want to put them, I've got 2 glued on already underneath the sign, so there's some space underneath that, so it looks like there's, you know, more pieces behind it that you flip through the numbers or the date, that kind of thing. Go ahead and I glued the other 2 on the other side, and now I'm just pre-drilling some holes for the eyelets because they're eye hooks, because they're really tiny and they're kind of hard to twist in there. So this makes it a lot easier using just a tiny little drill bit. Of course, I pre-marked my holes where I was going to drill. And now I'm just, of course, twisting them in. And, of course, I'm not going to bore you with watching me screw all of those in by hand. And look at that. Miraculously, we're on the last one. See what I do for you. There we go. Now I'm just adding glue to those extra little board pieces. And then I'm just going to, you know, slide these onto the little eye hooks. I'll just do one here, and then I'm taking pliers and I'm just closing that eye hook. It doesn't close all the way. It's just enough for a look, but those boards aren't going to come off either. It closes just enough to keep them on. All right, finishing up the last one here, and then of course we're going to start to glue on our numbers for our date and the letters for our month. And most of you know that have been with me for a long time. This date is special to me because this is the date we got married. This year we celebrate 32 years of marriage. I can hardly believe it. I'm dating myself now. All right, gluing on all my rest of my letters. Got my numbers glued on. And then we're going to glue on the little heart here. Perfectly cute. And that makes this project complete. What do you think? Let's move on to a quick and easy project number 2. You know I love to make my pillows. So for this project, I picked up these fabrics. The cream color is a machine-made quilt. I bought it off eBay. It was like a queen size for $30. So we've got here, and I love it because when you do cut it up, it's already kind of got the quilted batting in it, right? And I don't feel bad for cutting it up. And it's about 11 by 15 size. Now this material I picked up at a thrift store. It's a big window valance for like $2. And you know, it's got that big kind of hole in the middle like thing. So I mean, I could take apart, cut it up. So I cut this piece at about 9 by 13 size. And I'm just ripping or pulling on the little, you know, thread pieces on the end to kind of distress the fabric. If you're a gluer, go ahead and go all the way around the edges between your 2 pieces of fabric, whatever kind of fabric you want to use, and leave a little bit opening for stuffing. All right, and then you can glue your piece on top. If you're a sewer, we're going to sew that piece on top and then sew our 2 pieces of fabric together, again leaving an opening for stuffing. Now I know we made a pillow in part 1 video, but you know, it wasn't really quilted, I guess you could say. So we're quilting another pillow in this video, but they will match and go together nicely. I forgot to show you, you knew I was going to do it. I did cut 2 pieces of batting, cotton batting, to put under this piece of fabric. I wasn't going to do it, but then I wanted to lift it up a little bit, get a little 3D, so that is optional, but I cut 2 pieces the same size as that plaid on top, right underneath, and I'm just sewing right over the top. I'm doing kind of a double sew stitch around it just to give it some fun. And now I'm taking 2 pieces of muslin material, 2 pieces of batting, and I'm just sewing it together to make a little tag. And I ripped the pieces of fabric, which is why, of course, they have all the threads hanging out. I'm using Michael's Clickable stamps for my stamping here. Now, the one that you see here that I'm stamping, I end up redoing it later because I didn't want it as dark. I was like, I don't want to do that. So you'll see it look a little bit different later without all the little borders around it because I kind of pressed the stamp too hard. Now, once you're done, go ahead and stuff your pillow once it's sewed or glued, you know, and then once you stuff it, you can sew or glue it together. Now, I want to put like a little belly band around the pillow. So at Dollar Tree, I found this, thought it would look cute. It's one of those headbands, and I love the little like knot in it. And I thought it would kind of give it a little bit of a winter look to go along with a little bit of our, you know, kind of cutesy romantic look, because February is still in winter, right? So I'm just sliding it on. That's why my pillow's a little small, because this only opens up to about the size of the pillow we created. And then I bought some of these flowers at Ranunculus Bush at Walmart. It's about $3. I love these kind of flowers. And this may seem weird, but this is just a decorative pillow. I cut 2 to put inside that little headband. I pinned the little tag on, and now I'm making a little bow out of this ribbon from Hobby Lobby. All these kind of colors we used in the video of our first, used in our first projects of the first video, right? So both of these videos, the whole ensemble will go together. Once I glued that little bow on, now I'm just kind of twisting and turning. I left my tails a little long, twisting and turning them and gluing to the pillow because I think it gives it a little bit more of a romantic look. I think it's really pretty. Here you'll see my tag look different here. I'm pinning on the newer tag now, just a cute little safety pin. Guess what? That makes this project complete. What do you think? Let's move right on into project number 3, and I will say off the top, this is not my idea. I seen it float across Instagram. So from Dollar Tree, I bought these bag of rocks. I have this little bit of ribbon, although I think I changed the ribbon. I do. I end up using the ribbon that I used on the pillow, but got that at Dollar Tree. These flowers I got at Walmart. They're little mini ranunculus bushes. And then this is a square vase. I got at Dollar Tree like Halloween, I think. And I haven't seen the square vases since. Those long candles we always get in a round vase, they had square vases, so I bought a few for the vases. The Starburst hearts, I bought these at Walmart because they were the color of the flowers. I thought they'd be pretty. Now, these hearts, I was a little bit stingy with the ones I picked because I didn't want ones that said juicy on it and stuff like that. And I couldn't just turn these around like you could with the normal conversation hearts because since these are like a main brand type of, candy, they had that brand logo on one side with the cute little saying on the other. So I had to, be a little bit conservative with the words I picked, so they all say the same thing. Well, not the same thing, about 4 different words. So what I'm doing is, because I have a square jar, I kind of, as I'm at the corner, I kind of glue it half off of the corner so that when I come around the other side, I can glue that kind of half off and it will meet at the edge, if you know what I mean. So I glue this part half off here, and then as I turn it, I glue that so it, bunches right up against the edge of the one I just glued. That makes sense? So I'm getting 3 per side basically, and I start about 3/4 of the way down. I didn't really measure it right. I really needed to go down just like 1 row of hearts more because I didn't quite have enough room for the bottom hearts to go around the jar. So the top and the bottom, there's basically the hearts are just in the center, and that's okay. So I'm just kind of moved ahead for you. Sorry about the lighting. It's getting a little low here, but I'm continuing by gluing my hearts on, just super gluing because, it's candy. We're not going to store this forever, and we can pop them off and reuse the vase later once we are done. And then, of course, you can see I alternated the light and dark hearts, and I alternated the 4 sayings that I used. Yeah, so they don't say the same saying. You all know how I am. So the same saying is not next to each other. I dump in just a few rocks at the bottom and then put the flowers in. Because at first I dumped them all the way up and I'm like, I can't get my flowers in. So dump just a few, then get the flowers in, and then we can add more rocks here to fill up the top. And it's okay that my conversation hearts, I didn't have quite enough room at the bottom, so it just looks like rocks, conversation heart, and rocks on the vase. So it works. See? It works cute. I like how this turned out. It's really fun. Now these are, those big hearts on a stick at Dollar Tree. I like these red ones, but you know me, I'm going to lindify them up a little bit. We got to sand them. We got to rustic them up. They're just a little bit too painted. So my other 4 done, I'm going to use 5. See, that looks much better, doesn't it? And I lied. I do use this ribbon, but I make little bows underneath the wood hearts. I originally was going to do it around the vase, but I forgot that I did them I did this project just a few days ago and I already forgot. Making little bows, so I'm making 1 here and then I do 4 more the exact same. Once they're complete, we'll nestle them in among the flowers. I thought this elevated it a little bit and the sheer ribbon gave it a little bit of a romantic touch. The original one I saw was really, really cute, and I debated whether I should make this or not because you all know I do really rustic and farmhouse and we're really getting into the grit of these projects, but sometimes I just want to do something cute and easy. So I did it, and I hope y'all aren't mad at me. All right, so once those are in there, I'm taking that same ribbon we just used on the pillow. I'm just wrapping it around the front, and then I made a bow with the rest of it, and I'll glue right to where that seam hits so that it hides that, and that makes this project complete. Okay, I got my cutesy out. Let's go back into Rustic with project number 4. So I picked up this already made sign thing at Habitat for Humanity for like $1. And so with my wood laser, then I cut out some letters. All right, we're going to do some wood letters and then a little bit of stenciling as well. And then I have a wood heart I cut out. Of course, you can buy wood letters at any craft store. I'm going to use this black flat paint for my letters, not my heart, just for my letters. I'm going to spray those outside off camera. That board was really like tore up, kind of rustic, so I smoothed it out, and I'm going to take Dixie Belle chalk paint, again in color drop cloth. I add a little water to it so it's a whitewash, and I'm just going to go right through the center with painting it and a little bit of dry brushing around the edge, and then off camera I'll sand through that center a little bit so it's a little bit more minimized. I should have left it a little bit bright, but I got a little heavy handed with the sanding, and I was like, I don't want to paint it again. So it's light, but I think I should have left it a little bit darker, but it still looks okay. Anyway, just dry brushing it. All right, here's what it looks like. See, it was like, why did I even paint it? Yeah, okay, that story's done. Here's what it looks like. We're going with it. It still looks good, I think. All right, so here's my letters I spray painted. I left them on the tape so that I could hold them down and distress them a little bit with some sanding, you know, so they don't break. And now we're coming into Bella's tail with our stencil. I made this on my Cricut machine, and I like to cut my stencil out in permanent vinyl because it sticks so much better, and I have 99.9% success when I stencil. I don't have to add the same color down below or seal it with any Mod Podge, but there you go. So I'm going to use this brush from Essential Stencil. Stick your brush in the paint and wipe it off so it almost looks like there's no paint on there. It's like a little light powdery, and you can see as I'm stenciling it comes out really light. But it's better to do 3 light coats than, 1 heavy coat. Again, not much bleeding. And I know some of you like, but you're using your permanent vinyl, changing the subject, permanent vinyl, and it's kind of expensive. It is, but I rather use permanent vinyl and have less bleeding than use like a cheapy stencil material and go back in and have to, half an hour fix all my bleeding spots. So the 6 times a year I stencil, I'll use permanent vinyl. It just sticks wonderfully. So when I stenciled this, I left some spots like really light, so it looked kind of distressed and we didn't really have to sand anything. And so now as I pull it off, look how crisp and beautiful that is. And it's okay if when I pull the vinyl off, a little bit of wood comes off with it or a little bit of paint because of the stickiness of the permanent vinyl. But the perfection of how beautiful that looks when you do pull that vinyl off, I'll take it. Pull off the centers. And I should have said, I saw a picture in a store online, and I wish I should have said as a dupe, but I can't remember what store it was. I should have put that in there. Also, I should have said, I will have a printable for you. Link will be in my description box. All right, it's an 8x11 printable, but you could still use it for something, hopefully. So now here I am just getting my letters glued on. This is so simple and easy because I didn't have to build my framing. You could just do a flat piece of wood if you wanted. You don't have to have any framing. As you can see, I don't have any framing. I still think it looks great. And I love how tall it is. It's actually probably about 24 inches tall. It's a nice big long sign, and I love that. I think it just gives it a statement. So I've got my letters glued on. Now I'm doing my heart. This is how I did my heart in the first project. Drew around it, right? And then I come in about 1/8 of an inch and redraw the perimeter and then cut that out. And then I take it to my sewing machine and I sew around it. This was originally going to be the first wood project, and I switched them around so you didn't see the process the first time because I was going to be like, and this is how we just did the one. Okay, well, there it is. It's backwards. Now I'm painting my heart. Didn't really need to paint the center, but I did. And I'm going to distress around the edges a little bit because, of course, we're going to see around those edges a little bit when we glue our, paper heart on. Distressing around the edges with the scissor blades to allow that inner core to kind of shine through, and then we'll glue that on there. And then we'll glue this onto our sign right below the forever word. I love the juxtaposition of the words one way and the words the other way, the letters. Now what we want to do is they look too separate, right? And I know I splatter a lot, but I tell you guys a lot, when you go to splatter, it brings things together. It kind of unifies them. So by using a little black paint mixed with water and doing a little bit of splatter, not too much, really fine splatters, it just kind of brings one side of the sign and the other side of the sign not look separate but look together. And then I decided to bring a little bit of red in, not too much, just a little bit. But that makes this project complete. Okay, this is it, our last quick and easy project, number 5. So I found this candle jar at a local store. I was going to use this like crystal bowl I had, but decided to use a candle jar. Found these candles at Walmart for $1. I got them over the ones that we usually find at Dollar Tree because they're cream colored, and I wanted that versus just white, okay? Now, off camera, I took some air-baked clay and I just made some little hearts. What I wanted to do was, I wanted to find one of those, candy silicone trays with the little hearts in them at Dollar Tree and make some little candle hearts. Could not find them anywhere. No store in town had it. So I'm going to make my own. I remembered I had this silicone putty. I used this a ton when I was scrapbooking. And I will have links for you on Amazon, and I also found at Michael's, which is where I got this. And it's about 10 years old, and they were full containers when I got them, but it's still good. What you're going to do, it's so easy to do. You guys are probably going to get this versus buying all those little, pre-done silicone molds. You want equal amounts of each color. Now, the ones I put on link for you in my description box, it's like white and yellow. It doesn't matter the color, but mine happens to be white and purple. Equal amounts, you're going to mix them together until all the white is gone. So it's one uniform color. It just takes a minute or two. Now, once it is mixed, you have about a minute to get everything together, maybe 2 minutes or so to get everything together. And it feels like silly putty, okay? Then I'm going to smush it out, but it's about probably a 1/2 inch thick. I need it as thick as my hearts, I guess to say. My hearts are about a 1/2 inch thick. So I'm smushing it out the size I need, and then I'm just going to press my hearts right into it. Okay, and then I'm bringing like a little stick in so I can get right into the center of those hearts. And I only do 3 because the one was quite big, that last one. I could have made these and, got them turned in so they all fit, but I decided that other one was just a little bit bigger than I wanted, believe it or not. All right, and then you just let it set up overnight. Let it cure. Yeah, see, that's just a little bit bigger, so I decided not to use it. Let this cure. All right, it'll harden, but not be hard. It's kind of flexible rubber now once it sets up. All right, I found these at a thrift store. They were in some tiny little square glass vases, which was perfect because I was looking for that pink color. I was going to take a red candle, mix it with some white, but now I don't have to do that. All right, I'm going to set that aside. That's the color I'm going to use for my hearts. Now what I'm doing is adding some wicks to my cute little candle vase thing here. It was about $6 on sale, but it's so pretty because I had the crystal look I was going for, but a lot smaller dish than what I had. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting my wicks ready. I have a little candle making kit, so that's what I'm using here. And then, of course, we're going to do like we always do. Everyone does. I do these in a pot. I get the water boiling and then I set it down to simmer. I don't put these in the microwave because they do have that little metal at the bottom of the wick. But this one, I was able to pull that out and access it. So I'm putting this in a microwave for about, 4 or 5 minutes. I just have like a little 1,000-watt microwave. All right, so now let's get back to this. I'm going to pop out these little air-baked clay hearts, nice and easy. It's just flexible and you just kind of spread it apart, pop it up, see? Just like that. I'm serious, you guys are going to get some of this. And this jar is so hot. So I'm going to pour it in. The first batch, I get it a little bit kind of all over the place. It kind of runs off, but I just pour them in right up to the top of the mold. But I scoop that wax right back into the jar because that jar is so hot, or that glass is so hot that I'm able to scoop it right back in and the wax melts. And here's the little hearts. I popped them in the freezer for about 2 minutes and they harden right up. And then you can go ahead and, trim them. Now I'm using a spoon. Look, my spoon is like melted because the wax is still hot. Spooning it in works much better. I'm able to hold onto the jar now, though. The jar is cooled down. Popped them into the freezer again for a couple of minutes, and now I'm popping them out. And then I'll just use that little tool that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I'll just kind of, scrape off the rough edges around the sides. Nice and easy, and I end up using 5 little hearts. Now my other candle, by this time, I've got the hearts done. My other candle mix is ready to go, so I'm pouring it into the jar, trying to keep Bella away because it's hot, hot wax. See, I'm guarding it now. She jumped up about 3 times. I kept having to stop the camera. Anyway, I'll let that set up till it's just soft enough I can add these hearts to the top. And when it's all done, the wax from that candle that's at Walmart, it looks like frosting because of the color of the wax. And then I just press the little hearts in very gently, and I use a little heat tool if I need to melt it a little bit, and I kind of lay them up, 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. But yeah, once it's done, you see it in the final looks. You see all the projects together. We're going to look at it soon, I promise. It just looks like this cupcake frosting. You want to eat the candle, but it looks so pretty. I like how it turned out. One heart I pressed in too much, so I just used a little melted wax and I poured it into the little spot, and then I heated it with heat tool till it all kind of leveled out. But anyway, with all that said, that makes this project complete. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects today, 5 in total. And if you missed my last video, which was part 1, again, the link will be down in the description box. That's 4. And so all together, a whole ensemble of 9 different Valentine projects. And that completes the love projects for the year of 2025. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which project you liked best. Please give this video a thumbs up, share my video. I'm reaching a goal this year. If you walked in here for the first time, you're checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. And as I said in the last video, make sure your notification bell is set because I'm doing extra videos this year. They're going to pop out on 1 or 2 Wednesdays a month, so you're going to want to make sure you don't miss those. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. In the Bible, the book of Acts, chapter 3, verses 1 through 10. One day, Peter and John were going up to the temple at the time of prayer at 3 in the afternoon. Now a man who was lame from birth was being carried to the temple gate called Beautiful, where he was put every day to beg from those going into the temple courts. When he saw Peter and John about to enter, he asked them for money. Peter looked straight at him, as did John. Then Peter said, "Look at us." So the man gave them his attention, expecting to get something from them. Then Peter said, "Silver or gold I do not have, but what I have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, walk." Taking him by the right hand, he helped him up, and instantly the man's feet and ankles became strong. He jumped to his feet and began to walk. Then he went with them into the temple courts, walking and jumping and praising God. When all the people saw him walking and praising God, they recognized him as the same man who used to sit begging at the temple gate called Beautiful, and they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to him. Can you imagine after 40 years he stood up and walked? His body was strengthened, his legs were strengthened. With grace and mercy and trust, he allowed himself to believe. He perceived it and he responded to it. God loved this man enough to send help through Peter and John. He loved him enough to give him a little piece of his heart and provide a way out. He provided him a new life. Once healed, he leapt and praised and worshiped God in response to his mercy. He returned his thanks to God and never looked back. He only looked forward to what God had for him. He looked forward to giving thanks to a mighty God that cared enough to give him a little bit of his time. His future now had something to live for, to hope for, because a few minutes ago he was defeated, but now the enemy has been thrown into the pit and God has given the victory. In the Bible, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, God promises a hope and a future to those he loves. So no matter what you are waiting on from God, no matter what you are hoping for, God has a desire to help you, to lead you, to guide you. Don't give up while you wait. Don't let the enemy have the win. Your future, just as the man in the Bible, has something to live for, to hope for. Let your mind believe it, and let your heart receive it. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.